Hello again, everybody. It's not quite so warm and bright around here anymore. We're going into sort of winter. It's cooling down. It's getting damp. Soon, I suppose, we'll have the salt and grit on the roads, and it sort of makes you feel a bit tetchy, doesn't it, when you have to wrap up to keep warm. And I thought, as I'm feeling a bit tetchy, I'd have a bit of a rant. And this one, actually, fair dues. My attention was drawn to this by someone who commented on one of my videos that some little sneak has used bits of my videos to make one of their own, which usually, when something like that happens, you'll get a thing pops up about copyright and you can have a look at it and see if you want it removed and whatever. Anyway, I thought I'd best take a look at this one because there was nothing in my copyright stuff, and he's got a disclaimer at the bottom of his thing about why he can get away with using other people's stuff and whatever. That doesn't really bother me too much, but I thought I'd better take a look, seeing as how someone was using my video footage. They haven't used my sound because they're too busy yapping over it in their ill-informed, self-righteous way. But basically, the video they made is about supposedly bad bikes that nobody wants back from the 1960s. And what I'll do, I'll actually include a link to the video in my description of this video, so anyone who wants to have a look can do. But what a complete and utter load of ill-informed bollocks the guy's speaking. And I just thought, seeing as how he's used my footage, I wouldn't have done it otherwise, but seeing as how my footage is in his video while he's coming out with all this crap, I thought I'd just point out that most of what he's saying is crap. Admittedly, he also slates a few Japanese bikes as well, but he takes a big pop at the Royal Enfield Crusader. And while I'll put my hands up and admit they're certainly not the best bikes on the planet, and they did have gear selection issues, some of them, if they weren't set up right, they can, and usually can be, a good bike if they're set up properly. And I've talked about this before, I'm not going to go into great depth, but a lot of these old bikes become problematic down to lack of owner knowledge and bad maintenance and whatever. But the one thing I want to pull this guy up on directly about is one of his remarks about the Royal Enfield Crusader. He says that they were made from poor quality materials. What a load of crap! The materials they were made of were some of the best you could get your hands on anywhere in the world. So that is absolute crap. Don't give me that. And yet you're out there speaking with authority, using my footage to tell people all this nonsense, which brings me neatly to more nonsense and the man in the pub. Now, I think actually this guy that made this video might be the man in the pub, or perhaps he knows the man in the pub. You know the guy, the sort of fella that sort of comes out with all sorts of stuff like it's dead true, and he really believes himself, and he'll look at you dead in the eye and tell you all this crap and nonsense. And I recently had the pleasure of, I can't really say speaking to, but more listening to the man in the pub. And I've got to share this, but apparently, perhaps not everybody throughout the world or wherever you are that watches my videos will be aware of these machines, but I'm sure many of you will be. The Yamaha FS1E, the 50cc Fizzy, and its bigger brother, the Yamaha YB100. Now apparently, according to this guy, if you want to make a Yamaha YB100, which probably had a top speed of perhaps the upper 50s or very low 60 miles an hour, that would have been your lot. And I've seen these bikes, and I think I've probably ridden one somewhere along the line, but anyway, that's the top speed. Let's call it 60. Might be a couple of mile an hour out either way, but I won't be far out. Now apparently their speedometers go up to 80 miles an hour. Now if you want your speedometer needle on the YB100 to go round to the stop pin at 80 miles an hour and then bounce off it vigorously as it continues to accelerate, do you know what you've got to do? Well, I learnt this from the man in the pub. You get a micron expansion chamber for a 50cc fizzy, right? And you stuff a bit of copper pipe up it, and you stick it on your Yamaha YB100, and then off you go. You got your 80 mile an hour plus bike. Right, okay. Why didn't Yamaha do this? Why did I spend lots of money on my Trident at Norman Hyde's when I could have got a Yamaha YB100, which would continue to accelerate rapidly after the speedometer needle stops on the 80 miles an hour stop pin? Beats me. It's like these iridium spark plugs. Oh, they're worth about 4 horsepower out of anything, aren't they? And I saw another one the other day where a fella had changed his oil and he'd gone from mineral to synthetic. My God, what a difference! The engine was smoother, more powerful, more responsive. Now, when you think about all these things, when you go racing, we've done a little bit of that. I haven't actually ridden the race bikes on the track under competitive circumstances. That was down to my brother. But our race bikes, I've ridden them, I've tested them and whatever. And all I had to do was fit an iridium spark plug, a micron expansion chamber off a fizzy with some copper pipe stuck up its arse, and perhaps put a bigger main jet in for a bit of luck. And and go down 2 teeth on the rear sprocket. That's another one. Yeah, that's all you need to do apparently. You just gear these things up, you put a bigger main jet in, you mess about with the exhaust, iridium plug, some synthetic oil. There's probably lots of other things as well. I mean, why not put some fuel stabiliser in as well? I'll be winterising my bikes soon. I won't be putting anything in the petrol in addition to what came out of the pumps down the road that are labelled E10. What I probably do with the Trident, which is wise, is disconnect the fuel pipes, and I'll drain the float bowls of the carburettors so that they're nice and dry and nothing's going to be in there to sort of evaporate and congeal in the rather vulnerable pilot passageways of the concentric carburettors. I might remove a few batteries off some of the bikes as well, but that'll be them winterised. No fuss, no vacuum bags. Alright, I'm going to get a bit of corrosion and rust, but I ain't going out in the salt when that comes, because my Trident looked like it had been dredged out of a canal a couple of years ago after I did that, even though I hosed it down and wiped it down and everything afterwards. It absolutely gutted me to see what that thing looked like after a week or two, so no go there. But back to the main issue. Bullshit. Why do people make these things up? Where do they come from? Now, the guy in the pub that told me about the Yamaha YB100, he didn't conjure that up himself. He was told that. Now, I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall when he was told, because I'm almost certain that the guy that told him must have been on the wind-up. Surely he didn't believe what he was saying. I mean, I presume that the guy that told me, he seemed to believe what he was saying. And that's the danger. And I think the guy that made the video using bits of my videos is probably one of those. Probably doesn't really know what he's on about, but he can tell a good story. So let's fire up the camera, film it, put it on YouTube, tell the world. All of a sudden, you've got these bad bikes. And the Royal Enfield Crusader, bad materials. Like I say, that's a load of crap. The only thing that he touched upon there that had some merit was the very unreliable gearbox that he mentioned. Well, they're not very unreliable. They are a bit difficult to set up to get the selection right on the gears, and lots of people can bungle that. But that does not make the bike itself bad. That is just bad setup by people who don't know what they're doing. Like the guy who made this video. He doesn't know what he's doing. If anyone wants to have a look, the link is in my description. What a load of crap. Thanks for listening. Rant over.